for my generation, I don't think there's ever been a photo that has been more relatable to an incident than that of the Spider-Man photo of William Tyrrell.
It is,
True?
yeah, true. And that would probably be your one and only missing kid that is big, still lingering.
Well, there's Maddie McCann overseas was probably
yeah,
the
but I mean
first
here
one
local. Yeah, Maddie McCann.
Well, if Cleo Smith was obviously a big deal, but found. So yeah, it really is William Tyrrell. I can't think of another one.
No,
not on that level. Not with everything that's happened.
No, and we know. Well, we don't know. William Tyrrell is dead, right?
Yes.
I don't think any rational person can think of anything else, you know. So it became like the whole of Australia got fascinated. Mm-hmm. And there have been cases, you know, we've got going way back to the Beaumont children back in the 60s, you know, vanished. When children go missing, especially, you know, someone that young, and you know, they're not going to be found. The one, I do remember once doing a missing kid, and it was around the time of Sam and that, and his kid was missing over at Manly, and we went over, and there must have been 300 cops searching everywhere, and I couldn't find him. And then eventually, you know where they did find him? And he was in a tree out the front watching all these cops looking for him out the front of his house. And he was too scared to go home because he fucking done something wrong.
He was in trouble.
So that was actually, you know, one, but it was literally going, oh shit. And he wouldn't come down for hours because he was scared he was going to be in so much trouble. And that's what happens early on with that, especially young kids. You're going to think they're going to be found in some crevice or hiding. William Tyrrell, it never happened, you know.
So what was your job here when William Tyrrell went missing?
I didn't do a lot of reporting on it, really. There was other reporters getting right in
there.
Were
you reporting or were you chief of staff?
No, I was reporting.
Yeah, okay.
But I didn't go up there. I know that a lot, you know, like it started gaining momentum, you know, like a lot of stories. Oh, he's missing, he'll turn up. Is it domestic, you know? And then there was the issue of he was awarded the state. All the armchair detectives have figured it all out, and it's some of the worst armchair detectives are journalists, me included. There's a couple of shockers that I don't even want to admit to where I've got it so fucking wrong. Now with this one, I was watching from far as other reporters and keeping an interest. And my first two parts of the story. First one was when Nick Hansen, now deputy editor, was a crime reporter who sat next to me, much like you do.
Yeah.
And he came to me and said, I've heard rumours that Gary Jubilant, who I've known for a long, long time, has been taken off the case. And I went, what? We didn't know this. Gary Jubilant was the lead detective after about 4 or 5 months on the William Tyrrell case. It came out that he'd been taken off the case and there was an internal investigation, there was all sorts of shit. So I did go to one press conference where early on he said he'd uncovered a lot of pedophiles up in that area on the north coast, to the point he said, you know, that they possibly involved in the disappearance. So that was the first report was with Nick about that, and Gary ended up being removed from the case. As we know, he subsequently got charged for claiming they illegally taped a suspect.
Yep. And
I do remember writing a piece saying he did perhaps the wrong thing for all the right reasons, because he's such a passionate guy. He was, you know, and he still maintains to this day, he was doing that recording to protect his own interests against somebody making false allegations against him. So that was the first one. And then the next big one was when somebody told me that whole investigation turned on its head and was going back to involvement of the foster mother.
Yes.
And it's funny, I copped a lot of abuse for even suggesting that, because I think a lot of journalists who had gone and spent time in Kendall or were a lot closer to the case than me had got to know, seen the way Gary was, the investigation was going, that as far as he was concerned and others, the foster parents had been discounted.
Yeah.
Now he's removed from the case, and here you have this new theory going that they're totally involved.
Look, there's plenty of other podcasts you can go and listen to if you want to know about William Tyrrell in depth, but you know, the quick version is that he was sitting on the veranda at his
This is the theory now.
Foster grandmother's house in his blue and red Spider-Man, suit, and then he vanished.
And that was about
2014.
24. Yeah, I was going to say it's 9 years. I saw a piece recently. So,
and then there was, as you said, there was issues initially with the homicide investigation as to how quickly they got up there, how quickly they began the search. Then
the local cops copped it because they didn't preserve a crime scene. He was a missing fucking kid.
And then it was handed over from the initial homicide squad to Gary Jubilant, and then he held it for a while.
So to be fair to him, he copped a lot of criticism over the arrest and subsequent clearing of a guy called Spedding, but he inherited that suspect.
Yeah,
that wasn't.
And then there was a number of suspects, Bill Spedding, Paul Savage, who've since been cleared.
They've all been cleared.
And then you broke this story in, when was it? Was it about the middle of 2021?
It was middle of COVID. It was COVID.
Middle of 2021, I reckon, that police had a new suspect and that it was the foster parents. And that was crazy.
But I'd always thought about the foster parent. Even, as I said, I would be talking to guys in homicide, or senior guys going, is it the foster mother? And they're going, well, the guys up there say no. But...
because Gary's adamant that it isn't them.
Yeah.
And he said that since.
And he'd said that. And these were people who thought, and there was another cop who, before Gary, said, no, they're fine. Cleared.
And so you broke that story, and there was a whole heap of attention. I remember going up and spending a few days outside the foster parents' house, trying to get a comment out of them. They remained tight-lipped. Then you began to hear murmurings over the next few months, and there was other people saying, "Oh, Moz's story's total crap. He's wrong. Why? Where did he even get this from? You pissed off the homicide squad." It was all looking like it was a big, not a big blow up for the sake of it.
But it looked like it was
true.
Yeah.
You knew it was true. I knew it was true. And then eventually, one morning I think it was a Monday, you get this press release saying...
Didn't get it from homicide. Didn't give us a tip on that, did they?
No, they didn't. But a major announcement in the investigation to William Tyrrell, which was that they'd found new suspects and they were commencing a new search up at Kendall
under the veranda.
Yeah,
they made very public
at the foster grandmother's house. So that went on for, God, I don't know how long. It's hard to keep track because it was almost wall-to-wall coverage, day in, day out, of that search on TV. At one point they found, I reckon it might have been a blue bit of Chuck's cloth, and everybody lost their minds because they thought it was part of his Spider-Man suit. We had reporters doing shift work pretty much around the clock to cover it.
Both the foster parents have been cleared of lying to the Crime Commission, but they both face charges of assault. Well, the mother is assault and stalk and intimidate, and the foster father stalk and intimidate of another child in their care. That case is still going. It's still before the courts. The house was bugged. That's come out publicly.
Yes.
And the foster mother, her treatment of a child in that house, some of the things that were heard there aren't terribly nice.
No. But that was a bit of vindication for you too. I remember I was pretty happy that day because you'd copped a lot of flack for saying it would be the foster parents, and we'd made a massive deal out of it.
And we can so freely talk about it because, again, these foster parents
can't be identified. Never have been identified. I believe they probably could have figured a way to be identified. Well, see, it's interesting.
And that's a big fight going on about that.
Some people say, why haven't they come out?
Well, there's the law protecting wards of the state is so stringent. It reminds me the divisiveness almost between journalists. Although it wasn't divided because it seemed to be all one side just to get... That was the Lindy Chamberlain case in a way. You had journalists going, no, she did it, she didn't do it.
Yeah,
we've got this
invested.
now.
So invested.
And again, a lot of it driven by journalists got very invested. You got a little kid again missing, people that get obsessed. Again, you got that photo, and you're just thinking, what has happened? Here's this little kid, look at him. And then there's him playing guitar, there's vision. And you just think, what has happened to that kid? And that's why people, I think, get so invested or so obsessed with missing children because there's these images of just sheer innocence. And then the darker side of what's happened really gets to them. And trying to find an answer, it becomes an obsession with communities.
So the situation as we sit here is that there's been a brief of evidence put before the DPP
P.
in New South Wales by the police, and will now
Claiming that the mother was involved, the foster mother is involved in the dispersal of a body.
That's what it alleges.
They're basically, that's what they're alleging. Now, it's a very circumstantial case.
Yes.
You talk to senior police about it, and they reckon it's a terrifically strong circumstantial case.
They do think most of their briefs are strong.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough.
But yeah, it's a vested interest. That's
yeah, of course.
You don't go to the DPP.
Right.
Hey, this one's pretty shit house. No.
Yeah, well,
so, yeah, but they do. So I mean,
we're waiting to see if the DPP elects to lay charges, and that will be the biggest day.
Either way.
Because
there's still an inquest. The inquest still hasn't finished. So it's just
because the coroner sent them back to Kendall to commence that search that we spoke about before.
So as Sam Knight took 20 years before we got a version of what happened to her, as close to the truth as I think will ever come. Now, with William Tyrrell, maybe that's what's going to happen. It's going to take somebody to make a confession, because to come forward in 15 years to say, I know what happened, and then find some corroboration. And that's what happened with Sam Knight.
Yep.
But it took so long. So, I'm hoping I'm alive when they find out about William Tyrrell.